BeastNet is brought to you by James Safety Services and in partnership with Beast OCR. Here we discuss all things OCR and fitness related, running, endurance, conditioning, rucking, and more. Welcome to BeastNet.
Hey everybody, it's Mike here at BeastNet, and we're here for the Beast Report. And I'm just going to pass this right on to Kim in Virginia. So Kim, go ahead and start it off.
Hi, Virginia. Hi, Mike. Just wanted to start off with saying hi to Virginia, and this is going to be a real fun one because, Virginia, you've been so involved in GoRuck, which as well as OCR, which is really fun to get, a different views on different sports. We talk about OCR a lot, which, we all love, but getting to know more about the GoRuck is going to be great. So really excited to talk with you about that. And
anyway, I kind of got sucked into.
Oh gosh,
it was fun,
kind of a. Oh yeah. Well, we might as well start with what was your first OCR race, and what made you decide to try it?
I know the answer. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, because Mike was there. Mike was there.
Yeah.
So Warrior Dash, and I guess it was actually about 4 years ago now, was my first OCR. And I actually decided to try it because a lot of people might not know. I used to play women's ice hockey. And I got really tired of the drama. And so I was at work one day, and one of the guys in my office had done Tough Mudder. And I was watching the videos somebody took of him and the pictures, and I'm like, that looks kind of interesting. I'll try it. So, and most people know me. I don't just do one thing. I sign up for a gauntlet. So I signed up for Warrior Dash, Tough Mudder, Spartan Hurricane Heat, and the Spartan Super, all within about 4 months of each other.
Oh my goodness.
So my first one, though, was Warrior Dash, and I thought I was going to die halfway through the course. I didn't realize how out of shape I was, and it was insane. And yeah, Mike, I think you were there that day. Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah. And
it terrified the crap out of me. So I ran with the Beastmaster though. The Beastmaster and helped me finish.
Awesome.
Because I was really not okay with heights. As many people know, I was really not okay with heights at that time. And yeah.
Wow.
So it was a lot of fun.
And have you ever overcome that? Because I don't see you don't seem worried when I see you out on the course about heights now.
Not anymore. Not thanks to Dingo.
Wow. That is so
Mike
awesome.
was there.
Yeah.
Mike's laughing because he knows exactly the moment I'm talking about.
I am. Yeah.
So I met up with my first Spartan was the Spartan Hurricane Heat the night before the Super. And during that Hurricane Heat, we had to do A-frame races. And I had never even been on A-frame cargo net until it was pitch black. Hating heights. Dingo comes and bounces around me, trying to get me to go faster, which did not help. And then it took a couple of years after fracturing my ankle and everything, I came back, I guess it was last year. It was in the Hurricane Heat last year, that we did A-frame cargo stuff again in front of Dingo, and I felt pretty good about it. So yeah, I got over that fear.
Great.
I still don't like them. I still turn around and say a few choice words to anything with heights, but it's nowhere near as bad as it was that night.
Oh, that is great.
Yeah, and Mike can attest to how bad that night was.
It was, but the thing is, like you said, it was horrible, but you did it. I can remember, you could tell you were not happy. You did not like him. You didn't want to do it. Dingo's hopping around you like a little kangaroo on the, cargo net, trying to get you to go faster. And you could tell you didn't like it, but you kept going. Most people would have probably socked Dingo and said, I'm done with this, but you kept doing it. And that's what was amazing. So
I did smart off to him.
That is cool. Oh.
I did smart off to him, and I did apologize later. But yeah.
Well, you got to smart off to him occasionally.
Now I know this.
Yeah, right. At the time, it's like, oh, scary. Oh, my goodness. Well, that's a huge challenge, I mean, that you overcame there. And that kind of leads into the next one is, how has OCR helped you to overcome challenges, in addition to the heights?
In addition to heights. In addition to just heights. I still don't like heights. I can just do it.
Yeah.
Challenges, really, when we were talking about this before, I was thinking a lot about the challenges of getting ready for an event. So with doing like a Go Ruck Heavy, which is going to last 24 hours long, the challenge of training for it at first looks like a massive mess. I'm like, how am I ever going to get ready for something that's over 12 hours long that I've never done? I don't know what to do. But OCR and then kind of the Go Ruck side, I learned to break things down. I look at things really differently now. So I can look at something, I can break it down into more manageable pieces. Because a lot of times, challenges in home or any other situation can look like just something that there's no way you're going to get through. And the OCR community, and as well as Go Ruck, kind of taught me to look at it, take a step back, figure out a plan, and then try and execute that plan.
That's great. One step at a time. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
That's really great. Oh. What do you love most about the OCR and endurance community?
So it's more the sense of family. And when I first started, OCR, the day after the hurricane heat with the Super, a bunch of us actually did the Super together the next day, and that was kind of my introduction to what this was.
Nice.
It's that sense of community with pretty much, just all three of my kids. They know a lot of our team, and if we're at races or if I'm at a Go Ruck event, they will go into a team tent and they'll just kind of make themselves at home, and they'll figure out who they know. And even if they don't know them, especially my 6-year-old will make friends with everybody. But it's that sense of community. And then the funny thing was, I found
because Maddie's awesome.
I started. Maddie is the wild child redhead that has no fear, loves everyone and everything.
I love Maddie. Yeah. I love Elliot too, but Maddie is just, yeah.
Yeah, Maddie is the redhead fire child that just, I think every time she sees you, Mike, she runs up and bonks you for the fun of it.
She does.
And then when I started into the Go Ruck, it's a very similar community. So as much as the OCR community is focused on, supporting each other, especially like in the open heats, everybody supports each other. Everybody is out there just to do your best. When I started into Go Ruck, once again, so I started into Go Ruck not really knowing what I was getting into. My husband said, hey, I did this thing called Constellation. You might like it. So what do? I sign up for a 12-hour event back-to-back with a 6-hour event because, and within that 18 hours, I learned, these people are very similar to what we have within the OCR community. They're really focused around the military. So they're really focused on helping military families or, paying tribute to fallen soldiers, like that. And they're also just big about, like the OCR community, of getting people off the couch. But it's getting people off the couch in a different way. So you're walking with weight. So kind of an example of this is this. So there's something called Santa Ruck, and it's a charity-based type thing. Kids can get involved the first year I took Elliot because I know Elliot and she can do it. This last year I took all 3 of my kids. And Alvin at first was not going to play. Alvin, for those of you who don't know, has autism and hydrocephalus. I wasn't really sure what was going to happen. But one of the rules in Go Ruck for this event was someone had to be the Grinch. And the Grinch was too good to walk. The Grinch always had to be carried. Alvin became the Grinch. And he got carried for like 1.5 miles in a Grinch costume. And no one said a word that he was clingy with the adults, that he didn't want to go with the kids. I talked to the cadre who was running it, and I said, hey, he needs to stay with the adults. And the cadre's like, sounds good, as long as he's having fun and as long as he's involved. So, yeah, it was that kind of honestly shocked me with bringing him along. So, yeah, that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, including
and of course,
everyone that
so
way.
Alvin, yeah, and of course, when Alvin's out on Spartan courses and stuff, he always acts like American Ninja Warrior, and nobody even thinks twice about it. That's the great thing with him is he'll run up to Mike and start announcing to Mike, and Mike's like, hey, that's cool, what's up? Or he'll run up to Brandon, and he'll look at Brandon and go, hi, Brandon, and then run off. Oh, it's like, cool, hi, Alvin.
Oh.
So.
He's a great kid.
So, and it's great to see that it, transferred down, starting with you to your whole family. I mean, that is just so cool.
Yeah. So my first Spartan race was also my kid's first Spartan race. And I lied about Maddie's age at the time so that she could do the half-mile course. She was 3 at the time.
Wow.
And I lied about her age and said she was 4. Because I didn't want her siblings doing the half-mile course and not her.
Right.
So, yeah, my first official Spartan race was also my kid's first Spartan.
That's
and they
so
were
neat. Oh, I bet. Oh, well, who inspires you? And I think that may go right back into your kids there. They've done so much. But who all inspires you?
So, the first thing that comes to mind is my kids. Alvin, I know, Kim, you've been around Alvin a little bit, and I know, Mike, you've been around him the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
To watch what he's gone through, to watch him become his own person and grow up, even despite having, a diagnosis, has been huge. There are days that, I watch him struggle to understand the world around him. And watching how much effort he puts into that is inspiring to me. And then Elliot. Man, Elliot's like my little mini me. And with Elliot, I'm very aware that she's watching me now. And she basically kind of inspires me to make sure I'm doing the right thing. She is the little mature mommy. She knows more about kids with disabilities than most kids would know. But she works her tail off. And something kind of funny, it was interesting that she came home last week from gymnastics practice, and said that she fell and actually hit really hard on the beam. And she got back up like nothing happened. And one of her friends said, oh my gosh, I'd be like in the floor crying. And Elliot looked at her friend. She's like, well, I am my mom's child. Oh. And just says it with a straight face and gets back up. And I'm like, oh, wow.
I love it.
And then Elliot, too, she's my inspiration because I see her pushing. She's 9 years old. In the summer, she's training 18 hours a week in gymnastics.
Wow.
To watch her push to a goal inspires me to not give up on 9. And actually during the Heavy, Tough, and Light, the HTL, she gave me something to keep in my ruck that says, this is a stupid idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I kept it with me for all 48 hours, and it was inspiration to keep going because it's a stupid idea, but I'm going to do it. And then kind of Maddie, Mike already talked about it. Maddie's a little spitfire. Maddie is kind of reminds me sometimes to not be afraid of myself, not be afraid of if something sounds so crazy. Well, it's crazy, but that's fine because she's going to go after it anyway. Another kind of source of inspiration is, if we're talking about community. So within the Go Ruck community, people that do these events are called GRTs. I've met so many people. I've met one guy who's actually going to be doing the next Heavy Tough Light, the HTL, with me soon, who's lost over 100 pounds. And he's just done it with Rucking, watching his diet, and just putting in the work. Watching what these guys can do with 80-pound sandbags keeps me on my toes. And watching them push through their adversities and watch what they're trained to do, that inspires me to not back off. And mine, for sure. And I guess kind of the last thing is, so I work with coaches about 3 days a week. These are coaches that actually saw me through my physical therapy on my ankle for both the fracture and the surgery. And, they inspire me to keep pushing because a lot of times if I'm doing a 2 a day, which Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday right now, I train twice a day. And I'll come in on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons and just be dead tired. Like, I don't want to do this. I am exhausted. Everything hurts and I'm dying type thing. I'm just physically and mentally done. And I'll walk in some days and they'll basically kind of push me a little bit. They'll inspire me to not give up because they'll say, hey, you did this last time. What can you do? Or, hey, we're going to try this. And they'll change it up so that I'm not really getting bored. And one coach in particular actually did the Go Ruck Light with me twice. I convinced him to actually do 2 Go Ruck events with me. And he said he would never look at it the same way again.
Oh,
yeah.
That's so nice when they realize what you're doing. They can just relate so much more and program for you even better.
Yeah, and Go Ruck it's a different animal. I mean, there's not a course. It's more like a hurricane heat. And you're carrying weight for, miles and miles. I mean, on the heavy, we covered 44 miles in 20 hours.
Gosh.
And my ruck to start the heavy weighed in about 40 pounds. So, yeah, it was really, it was a lot. It's a lot to take on.
Yeah.
But,
definitely.
yeah, I mean, these guys, he inspired me when he even said he'll do it. And then when he said that he'll do the light with me at the end of the HTL, I'm like, well, I can't back down now. If you're coming, I can't back off. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, but man.
Oh, that is awesome.
Like what you hear? Make sure and subscribe and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Be sure to find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you're using YouTube, please click the little red subscribe icon, then click the little bell for notifications of future episodes. And if you could, give us a thumbs up.
What's your favorite endurance or OCR memory?
So this is kind of 2 parts because so I just came back from Kimberly last week, and those who have not done Kimberly do not understand the level of the level of hatred of that mountain. One person said actually Tahoe was easier. The Tahoe Ultra Beast was probably easier than what we saw in Kimberly. And Tahoe, I know, I haven't been there, but I've heard Tahoe is a nightmare in itself. But for me in Kimberly this year, it was crossing the finish line of the Beast. And last year, the Beast demoralized me. It was horrible. It took me 9 hours, which is second longest to only doing a Beast on crutches for me. And I was in decent shape last year, but climbing that mountain peak 4 times on a Black Diamond ski slope just destroyed me. And this year we did it, I think, 3.5 because of Johnny, the course director. But when we finished, I was wearing a watch, and I didn't look at the time the entire time. But finishing that course and realizing that I had actually done it in 6 hours this year instead of 9,
wow,
just blew my mind. And I had so much fun on the course because there were 2 people from Warrior State of Mind that we were playing leapfrog the entire time.
Oh,
they would get ahead of me, I'd get ahead of them, and we would joke about how bad the course was, and we would joke that we're never doing it again, and of course we probably will.
We say that about Montana every year.
I know. Yeah. And actually, and by the way, Mike, in this course, we were actually all talking about doing the Montana Ultra Beast. All 3 of us.
Oh, wow.
I've heard about that nightmare.
Yeah, ask me again in a couple months, and we'll see if I decide if I'm going to attempt that disaster or not. It can't be as bad as Kimberly. So there's a few of us too. If you ever hear anything about Kimberly, it's thank goodness it's not Kimberly. Gorgeous views, but man, that entire weekend, just last weekend, feeling the sense of accomplishment of beating my times, but knowing like the shape I'm in. And then kind of the second part of that, so a lot of people know, because I've not exactly been quiet about it. I spent just over 6 months training for the GoRuck HTL, which stands for Heavy, Tough, and Light. And this event, there's 3 events to it, and it lasts about 48 hours total. And our HTL class was underweight for 35 hours, so we had on a ruck for about 35 hours. We got about 4 hours of sleep within that, between starting Friday night at 5 and finishing Sunday at 6, I think, or something like that, 5 or 6.
Wow.
And training for that was around 15 to 18 hours a week some days. I mean, some weeks it was nuts. But finishing that event that I put so much work into, and up until even doing the first part of the event, the heavy, I had never attempted an endurance event over 12 hours. And so I went into this going, I really, really hope I make it. I really hope my training pays off. And when we got through the heavy, we indexed. The heavy's supposed to go 24 hours. We went 20 hours, but we covered 44 miles.
Wow.
I was in shock. I was in absolute shock that we had just finished. And then knowing that my coach was actually he was on the way to bring me food. And starting the tough, and the tough is 12 hours long, and we covered 20 miles at that point. So, finishing the tough and then having my coach and one of our friends meet us for the light. The light all gets patched, and the next thing, there are 8 of us who did the HTL that weekend. And it was surreal. Because we get our light patches. The cadre's over there giving us our patches. And the next thing he does is he calls up the people that were doing the HTL. And granted, my memory is still quite fuzzy because I was not having slept a whole lot at that point. But Cadre Daryl and Dustin called the 8 of us, and there were 7 guys and then myself. And he basically told the light class there, he said, guys, this group of 8 has literally gone through everything we can throw at them. They've done countless hours of PT. They've done a ton of hydro burpees in the sound. miles and miles. We ended up at 72 miles at that point. Getting my bolts is what they call it. So it's a patch with 3 lightning bolts on it. Was probably the best feeling that I've had between OCR or GoRuck, because it basically meant this insane idea that I went to my coaches in November, December last year and said, hey, I think I want to do this. And them looking at me like, you are absolutely insane, but okay. It was hard. I mean, Mike, you were there. Like, I was, Mike came and met me because I was really excited to see, like, have people there. When Mike came there, I was actually still running somehow. I can't remember how.
I was shocked.
Wow. Oh my.
And and having my coach there, I will say that my family did not come down during any of the events, because I requested emotional detachment during that time because I knew how bad it was going to be. But a few people knew about what was going on, and I remember seeing Mike, and I was just like on cloud 9. I don't think it even felt like I hadn't slept at that point. No, but yeah, I know Mike was looking at me like, "Why in the world are you still running?"
That was pretty much my thought. I'm like, I have a pretty good idea of what you've been through, and I know I wouldn't be even standing at this point, let alone running.
Yeah. And how were your feet after all that time? Did your feet stay in pretty good shape?
Here's the key. Yes. Yeah. So here's the key. During my training, I would go and basically do hills while Elliot was in gymnastics a lot of nights. And I tested every shoe and sock combination I could find until I found one that didn't give me any blisters. So I finished the heavy and had no blisters at all. We started the tough, and I got a very small one, but I had some Body Glide with me, or some like Vaseline type stuff. Immediately lanced what was about to start being a blister. Put the Body Glide on and had nothing. And then during the light, the only thing I changed in the light was, instead of having a wool sock and a liner, I actually used compression socks with my boots that time, because I knew how bad my calves were probably going to be. So, but even then, I think we covered about 8 miles in the light, and I still didn't have any blisters.
That's great.
My feet, I held up really, really well. But it took about 2 weeks after that to fully recover. It was,
I bet.
It was a challenge. And I wanted, of course, Mike, I know you're going to love this idea. I wanted to go and get back into things a lot faster than what anyone wanted me to.
You getting back into something before you're supposed to, that never happens.
No.
Yeah. Luckily, my coach was, at the light, and when he dropped me off, because I didn't drive at any of this, my coach actually dropped me back off at home, and he gave me some very stern warnings. He said, if you violate my rules, I'm dropping you as a coach. And basically, and he had every right. I mean, I fully admit I've done stupid stuff. Montana Beast is probably up there with the stupidest idea. But, having him just flat lay it out, say, look, you cannot get back into this very fast. It was needed, and it actually worked out. So it was about a 2-week build back up. I took a full day to sleep, and just start moving a little bit. But it was 2 weeks until I was back lifting or rucking or anything. But the GoRuck HCL was the kind of the pinnacle, and
wow.
I'm sitting here thinking about it. It's still it's crazy, and I can't believe I'm going to do it again.
Oh my goodness!
So
that is awesome. Oh, Well, that is quite a feat, quite an undertaking, and you did it. I mean, what an awesome memory, and what a great, I mean, that's just a huge accomplishment.
And anyone who's looking to do an HTL, please reach out. I documented everything in a lot of detail. Not only training for me, but just food. I mean, like food. I had everything labeled. I had bags on top of bags labeled because I didn't know how I was going to do with no sleep. So, but yeah, if anyone's curious about it or just any of the GoRuck stuff, please reach out. Because if I don't know the answer, I know somebody who does at this point.
Oh, wow. Oh, so you did mention you got about 4 hours sleep. Was that between like the heavy and was it between?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was between events.
Okay. Wow.
So we finished one event. We finished one event.
Wow.
I basically paired up with a couple other guys. We went back to a hotel that was close. We were able to eat everything we could, everything hot that we could. So I remember I had chicken teriyaki and they had pizza. We got showered and then we slept for about 2.5 to 3 hours, I think, between the heavy and the tough. And then Barrett met me at the end of the tough, and I actually slept in the back of his car for a little while just to take a quick nap before the light. But there were breaks during the heavy. I know that one person fell asleep and the cadre woke them up in a very interesting fashion.
Oh, dear.
By getting right in their face, like leaning right over into their face and going, "Hi there," and waking them up, and it scared them to death.
Oh,
but yeah, so your only sleep comes in between events. And it's very little that you'll actually get.
Oh, and what was the temperature like? Was it cold? I mean, pretty cold that time of year?
No, it was so this was at the end of May, 1st of June.
So it wasn't too bad.
So it was actually really warm. Oh, no, it was warm.
Oh, nice.
The sound was cold, I can tell you that. The only time I almost quit was during 22 hydro burpees on the tough.
Oh, dear.
That was the only time I contemplated quitting because of the ice cream headache, the cold headache from doing burpees in the sound. But no, during the heavy, we actually had to walk off the pier and get totally wet. No ruck on at the time, but yeah, we had to get totally wet. And then we did hydro burpees at the end of the heavy. And then we did hydro burpees at the end of the tough. And then we started, the light was really warm. I think it was probably about 75 degrees. And we started the light by doing hydro burpees. And I was okay with that.
Right.
Because he actually made the entire HTL class go and show the light class how to do it. So we all had to link arms, walk into the sound together, get waist deep, dunk ourselves, walk 3 steps up, and then do, I think it was 6 hydro burpees in the sound.
Oh, gosh. Oh,
hey, it's a good wake-up call.
Yeah, that'll definitely keep you awake. Did you change between events at all? Or were you just kind of wet and went into the next one?
No, I did change. I changed a couple of things. I had contingency plans, though. I had backup pants and shirts and everything else. For the light, though, I remember I did specifically change into shorts because it had gotten warm enough to do that. But basically, just quick dry shorts. I wore a Seattle Spartan Race T-shirt for the light, and I wore my Kimberly Spartan shirt from the year prior because I'm like, these are both horrible ideas, so I'm going to wear something that I remember was horrible. So when I do the next one was horrible.
It all really.
But no, I remember. And I changed shirts I think once, but everything else really dried pretty quickly. And then when we were at the hotel, somebody actually took our clothes and threw them in a hotel dryer for us.
Oh, nice.
Help out. So yeah, it's hard. I don't know if I could do an HTL weekend without having help. You really need somebody there to kind of watch your back and make sure that you're okay. Because as I learned, it's very physical, but it can also get very mental. You want somebody who's not going to let you quit, who's not going to let you think about it. And in our case, we had a couple of people that were there. But yeah.
Yeah, you had a great support system.
I'm lucky enough that, talking about the community, one guy actually had reached out to me because we were in downtown Seattle. He was like, hey, I got a hotel room. Let's split the cost. My wife is going to be there. She'll kind of help make sure that we're moving and double check and make sure we're awake when we're supposed to be. And then my coach, Barrett, Mike met him at the very end, but he drove from Everett. He drove from the Everett area a couple times. He dropped me off at the Heavy. He brought me the biggest thing of chicken teriyaki I've ever seen between the Heavy and the Tough, and made sure I ate. And then he came back for the light, and he did the light with me, and he was kind of watching me and making sure I was okay. And,
wow.
it was just really, really awesome to have that sense of community. And now, that HTL group, they call you a team within the teams, and you really are. Kind of going back to that sense of community. The 8 of us would be in the second half of the event, and you could tell we're all hurting, but no one would let each other give up. You were checking in with people. Hey, how you doing? Are you okay? I know you hurt your knee. Are you okay? Everything hurts, so you don't ask if anything's hurting. You just, let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. And you don't talk about quitting at all.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. What a great experience. My goodness. Oh.
Let's take a quick break and hear from our sponsor.
Does your business need first aid, AED, OSHA, flagging, or other safety training? James Safety Services is your one-stop shop. Find them on Facebook today at James Safety Services WA and ask for a quote on hosting your training needs.
And we're back.
Well, tell us some about yourself that few people know, and it doesn't have to be OCR or endurance related, just anything you want to share.
So I think I've talked about this very rarely. So the place I train is a physical therapy / athletic coaching place. And there's a door that says athletes entrance. And even when I finished my PT side, I was hesitant to ever walk in that door. Because one of the coaches one day, he's like, oh, you're one of our athletes. And I remember I looked at him and I started laughing. And I'm like, why are you calling me an athlete? I'm like, I am an engineer. I'm a Girl Scout troop leader. I'm a mom of 3 kids. I'm a wife of my husband. Athlete sounds like the funniest thing you've ever called me. And I really struggled with that. And sometimes I did struggle, and I sometimes still do when one of my coaches will say it. Because I just never felt like I fit the term. And I was, even when I'm training 15 to 18 hours a week, even when I'm training twice a day, 3 days a week, I've never considered myself an athlete. That's just, it's just not me. But once again, Barrett, one of my coaches, had another sit down with me one time, and he basically explained to me how I did fit it. And he said, do you see the kids that are in here, working towards their goals? He's like, we call them athletes. What makes you any different? And I said, well, I'm not a kid. He's like, all right, smart Alec. That's not what I meant. And so we were talking about it, and it took until finishing the HTL that I finally was okay with it, because if you look on the GoRuck site, they say that finishing the HTL means you're you're basically one of the fittest endurance athletes out there. And I think it took finishing that HTL to say, okay, maybe I am an athlete, and maybe I do actually fit it, even though it's hard for me to identify with that term specifically. I started to learn that maybe I actually am. And but yeah, so it's just the label.
There's no maybe.
I've always struggled
No
with.
maybe.
No, definitely an athlete.
Yeah,
there's no maybe in that.
You endure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that was just
an
something
athlete.
weird because like I'm more comfortable with my daughter being called an athlete than I was me, and yet we're training the pretty similar amounts most of the time. So yeah, but it's been an interesting journey, and to be able to get to that point and go through that process.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think what it is if you think about it, most time when people think athlete, they think the stereotypical athlete, the football player, the
Right.
tennis player, the baseball player, those kind of things and those kind of athletes.
Right.
When in all reality, all of us, if you're getting off the couch, if you're out there doing athletic things, you're an athlete. You may not be at the same level as, a Russell Wilson, but you're still an athlete. So don't ever sell yourself short. You are definitely an athlete.
And that's kind of what Barrett also had to kind of level with me was, it was a similar conversation to that. Because, it's the training, and he would tell me, he's like, you're training this, but you're also having all these other things done, like cupping at times. And he's like, you're an athlete, you embody like everything that person does, but because you have 3 kids and because you are an engineer, it's harder for you to get to that side of it and like understand that term. But yeah, I finally, I'm a lot more comfortable with it now. And Mike, you had a great point too. Really, anybody who's getting off the couch can be considered an athlete. But for me, it took finishing the hardest endurance event I've ever attempted for me to even remotely recognize this. So,
and I get that, but I think a lot of people try and pigeonhole themselves into a stereotype. And like you keep saying, you're an engineer. Yeah, you are an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And you're a good engineer. But along with being an engineer, you also are an athlete. It isn't one or the other. You can be both.
Right.
And I think a lot of people don't think they can, that those two don't jive. And it's like, you can be multiple things. You can be an athlete and an engineer,
Right. And that's one thing I learned too, is I moved groups back in December last year. And most of the people in my group will look at me and I'll tell them something that I'm working on, or I'll tell them, what my max sled push has gotten to. And they just look at me and they're like, how in the world is that possible? They're like, you look so mild-mannered here, and yet when you get out of here, it's a different story. And like you have this like split personality, and I said, yeah, it kind of is. I've got my athletic side right now that I'm really pursuing, and then I'm here, working on 6-7 tankers every day. So it's definitely the dual side of it too. And then when I go into Girl Scouts and I'm around my kids, or I'm around the Girl Scout troop I help lead, same thing. I'll be one way. I'll be kind of smart alecky with the girls. I'll have fun with it. And then the next thing you know, we're outside and goofing around, and we're running around creating our own obstacle course, or something like that. So yeah, but it took a really long time for that to ever occur to me.
Well, definitely multifaceted. An athlete is definitely one portion of that. Absolutely. Wow.
Right. That's what I had to learn.
Yes. Well, is there anything else you wanted to add? Anything coming up that you're excited about? Or are you taking a little break after Kimberly? That was kind of a doozy.
No. So, Mike, don't laugh at the idea of me taking a break, please. No, so we came back from Kimberly on Monday. And then I was back somewhat full speed on Tuesday and completely full speed by this morning. I basically had 1 day off. I only had 1 day off because as my
coach took a day off?
Yeah, because we were driving.
Because we were driving. That's what, she's like, yeah, we were driving. I couldn't work out. My husband wanted to pull over so I could do a workout.
Well, I was actually in the car with Tim, Brandon, and JD.
Oh, okay.
So, no,
I'm surprised that Brandon didn't pull over to do a workout.
Brandon would have done burpees in the parking lot, but he didn't this time.
The last time I went on the trip with Brandon, he would stop every time we went to go to dinner or lunch or anything like that, and he had to do burpees before he would eat. So he would do it pretty much in front of the restaurant and just do burpees on the sidewalk before he could eat. It's Brandon's crazy.
So on the way to Kimberly,
but he's crazy.
On the way to Kimberly, we stopped to get dinner, and someone looked at him and said, "Brandon, you can't go in yet. You haven't done your burpees." And he's like, "Nope, not happening this time. I'm eating."
Oh, that's funny.
So I have witnessed Brandon on a road trip not doing burpees for ease.
Whoa.
No,
That's
my
crazy.
coach actually. So my coach posted after I said on Sunday that I was really happy with how I did in Kimberly because I cut my times pretty good. He says, "Great job, congratulations. Now it's time to step it up."
Oh, no.
Okay, this is about to be fun.
Like,
So
You're in trouble now.
No, not yet. So 5 weeks. So it's actually 6 weeks from the day that we're talking. I am doing the Go Ruck 50-mile star course again.
awesome.
There was actually a joke about the star course during the light because somebody from behind me yelled, "Hey, Virginia, how much training does it take to do the 50-mile star course?" And in my delirious state, I looked at him. I'm like, "Well, if it's me, apparently you don't need any." But this time I've learned my lesson and I'm keeping up my mileage. So I'm doing the 50-mile star course. And then 2 weeks after that, the same weekend as the Seattle Beeson Sprint, I'm going for my second round of HTL bolts within 4 months.
Oh, wow.
I decided to not do the Seattle Beast weekend. What happened was I had a couple of guys message me when the heavies went on sale and said, "Hey, would you consider doing an HTL with us?" And my first response was no. I'm like, I just did this. It was horrible. It was stupid. I don't know if I want to do this again. But just like Montana, I get some time to think about it. And actually, so Mike, I asked my coach first. I said, "Are you going to disown me if I do this?"
Wait, you did what?
And
You asked for permission?
I actually asked
Virginia
for
doesn't ask for permission. No.
Yeah. I sent him a text and I said, "Hey, I know I just told you at training this past week that I was not doing another HTL this year because of the damage it did to my body." I said, "But the heavies are on sale for half off."
But
I said, "What do you think my chances are doing this again?" And I just got back this text of laughing. And he said, "Look, if anybody can pull this off, it's you." He's been with me since this time last year before I even did the stupid star course. And he's trained me every single week. So I asked for permission for the first time. And yeah, so I'm on track.
Granted.
I'm taking, once again, I'm back to 2 a day, 15 to 18 hours a week training right now. I just got my 80-pound sandbag in to fill and play with because my goal is to clean that.
Nice.
So, yeah, I'm going to be doing the HTL. And then after that, Kim, I don't know about you, but I'm going back to Dallas.
Me too.
For the Ultra.
Ultra Beast. Yeah,
So
me too.
And on the way to Kimberly, I was talking to Brandon, and he's like, hey, in Dallas, they're doing the Beast both days, so you could technically still get your double trifecta. So I'm going to do the Ultra on Saturday. I'm going to do, or attempt, I should say, the Beast and Sprint back-to-back on Sunday.
Oh, wow.
There's no attempting. There's just doing.
Yes, it's just a matter of finishing the Beast in time.
Yep.
And then, of course, I will be at Washougal. I'm really excited because Washougal in August has the Spartan, special Spartans for the first time. And
I know, that's going to be awesome.
With me. So I'll have Elliot with me. She's going to do her trifecta in a day. It's just going to be the two of us coming down, and I've got some friends that will be doing their first race in Washougal. So I'm really excited to open up their world, and their friends have a daughter, and Elliot's going to be taking her through, I think, the 1 mile course. So yeah, Washougal is definitely there, but I'm kind of focused on the longer endurance stuff at this point. One of my coaches even told me last week, he said, I'm not even concerned about you tapering for anything under 5 miles. He's like, if it's under 5 miles, I don't care. He's like, just don't get hurt.
Right.
But yeah, so this is becoming the year of just the ultra endurance stuff. And I guess kind of the last thing, it's not going to be end of the year, but it's possibly for next year. If anyone's heard of GoRuck Team Selection, it's a step up, and it's another really crazy idea. If I can find a teammate, I'm looking into it. But it's essentially 48 hours, no sleep, weighted task, sandbags. It's gonna be brutal. Selection. It was team selection this year. Only 2 teams actually even showed up. They had women sign up, but not show up. So the goal is to get more women out there. And GoRuck itself, for anybody who's not aware, our heavy class had 22 people, and it was only 3 women.
Wow.
So women are very, in a lot of these, you don't see a ton of women doing these. So it's a lot of fun to kind of break the molds and really go after it. So possibly team selection next year. But that's only an idea.
I nominate Janelle.
It's not going to be Janelle. The key thing with team selection is you train together for the months prior leading up to it. But yeah, Janelle would be great. I think we'd do really well.
Well, except you live in Everett, she lives in Tacoma, but yeah, no,
yeah,
I'm sorry for throwing Janelle under the bus there, but I just threw Janelle under the bus. Yeah, I nominate Janelle. I think you and the donkey would do amazing. So.
Yeah. So Janelle and I did the first Beast Breaker together. We've done all the Beast Breakers together. So yeah, I met her during the first Beast Breaker, and I thought she was a badass.
So you guys are a couple of the only ones that have done every Beast Breaker, right? Or is it every Ghost? I don't remember. There's so many of those weird things.
Yeah, there's a few. There's a few of us. I think there's like 5 or 6 maybe. I think at most there's 5 or 6 of us that have done all the Beast Breakers. And I know that is coming up in the year. I did not forget about that. But yeah, Beast Breaker definitely in the year. I think Janelle's actually going to help run it this year, so it's kind of sad I won't be able to suffer with her. She'll just be watching me suffer.
Yeah, but, she seems like she likes that a little too much, though. It's
all good. You know, it's all good. It'll be fun either way. I'll have fun watching whatever they decide to throw at us this year.
Nice. Well, it sounds like some exciting things coming up for the rest of the year and even beyond. So, wow. Good times for sure.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's a huge challenge, but, you know, I can't wait to see if I can pull off getting my bolts for the second time in 4 months, because I went on to a couple of groups and like, what are the odds of somebody doing this? They're like, well, not a whole lot of people do it, but it's doable. I'm like, okay, here we go. You just can't let your training. Basically, you just got to keep up your training. That's the key thing. You can't slack off.
You'll get it. I don't think you know. I don't think you know how to slack off. Do you?
I don't think she does.
In certain
I pretty much
ways,
figured out with you. It's like it's all or nothing with you. Seems like everything you do, it's like either you're going to do it all the way, like full on, like bat crazy, or it's nothing. So.
Yeah.
And I say that in the nicest way possible, but.
I appreciate it, but one of my coaches to this day still will remind me. He's like, I will never forget the day that you told me you were going to do 50 miles on the Star course, and I asked you what in a couple of months, and you said no in 2 days. He's like, that's when I knew what I was up against with you. I'm like, it took you that long? But yeah, the same coach that I'm working with right now, I told him that, and he's like, so what, you're going to do this in like a month? And I'm like, no, 2 days. He's like, all right, that was a stupid idea. Oh, my. But you know what? Mike, you're right. I don't do things small. My first GoRuck event was a tough and light back-to-back. That's not normal. Most people start with a light, which is the reason I'm telling Kim. November. And there's a Pearl Harbor one coming up in December.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, most people start with a light. They don't start with a 12-hour. And then that 12-hour too, I was the only woman. So
yeah, but we've all learned really quickly you're not most people.
Yeah, and I'm good with that. It's like I told Elliot, I told Elliot, I know I'm different. I'm not going to be a gym mom. I'm not going to drink wine. Let's just face it. I wore a skirt to a friend's wedding for the first time, and I've not worn a skirt in 10 years prior to that. I'm not your normal mom, and I'm okay with that. You just have to be okay
I think
with
that's
it
awesome.
at some point. So,
yeah.
Normal is boring.
Yep, normal is very boring. And I think Maddie reminds me of that every day.
Like I said, Maddie is awesome.
It's a lot of fun.
A little spitfire.
No, she's amazing.
Aww.
Yeah. As I said, we had during GoRuck Light this year, they had a kid cadre, so they had a guy running just the kids, and they were all carrying something. The younger ones were carrying stuffed animals. The older ones were carrying 5 pounds. They were doing everything Meetup did.
That's cool.
It was great.
Oh,
and yeah, it's so much fun. And it's such good. Just like the OCR community, the GoRuck community is the same way. Get out, get active, have fun with it. Yeah, just enjoy it.
Oh, awesome.
So,
well, you're an inspiration. You don't always have to go, sure, boy.
I appreciate it, and you don't always have to go as crazy as I do.
Not many people
one
can.
at a time, and then do all 3. I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But yeah. Come try a light. Yeah, as I said, if anybody has questions about some of the light stuff, hit me up. I'm also the ones, if anyone doesn't know, I post all the discount codes or like anything coming up in the group for GoRuck. So hit me up. It's like I said, if I don't know the answer, I know how to get the answer.
Awesome. That is great.
Okay.
It was awesome.
Terrific. Well, Mike, did you have anything else to ask Virginia?
No. I mean, you guys have covered most of it. I mean, it was an amazing episode, and I know a lot more about GoRuck now than I did before. So.
Yeah,
my
me
mission
too.
is to get Mike, I've got gear you can borrow. I need to get you into a light.
Uh-huh.
It's no farther than
I'll do it with you, Mike.
How much weight is it?
We'll get for you a light 20 pounds.
Oh, well, I wear a 20-pound vest when I go into hike right now.
So you
that wouldn't
do
be bad.
20 pounds plus gear. So it would probably be 20 pounds plus your water and whatever little food you're taking. So yeah.
Yeah, I have a 20-pound vest that I've started wearing. So
that's
to try
awesome.
and up my workout, and actually my plan is to start off with 20, and then as I lose weight, every time I lose 5 pounds, I'm going to put 5 pounds more weight in it. So that I'll always,
I love it.
No matter how much weight I lose, I'll still be working out at my top weight.
That's a great idea.
Weight vests are awesome. Yeah, I've got a weight vest I use a couple days a week that has 30 pounds in it. And it's just different from a ruck just because it's distributed a little bit differently. But, yeah, the weight vests are great. They're great tools. For me, I always feel like I'm the most out-of-shape person while I'm wearing it. And then all of a sudden I take it off and I feel amazing.
Oh,
and that's I'll wear mine. I wear mine on the elliptical. I'll wear it when I go on my walks with Dawn. I've also been wearing it. I got a new punching bag set up. I'll wear it while I'm doing that. I'll wear it during push-ups. I've just pretty much started wearing it like for everything. Anytime I work out, I'm wearing the weight vest just to have that extra something, because I feel like I'm trying to do something, but I'm not getting the results I want. So I needed to up it somehow. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, weight vest and rucking. If anybody is curious, I know we're going to start weekly rucks here pretty soon in a couple of different areas. So that will be really good. If you don't have a ruck, I probably have one that you can borrow or some weight. For most people, they start out with 10 to 20 and then build up. For me, I carry about 40 to 45 on training rucks when I go out for some distance. And then I'll wear a 30-pound weight vest and then use 40 and 60-pound sandbags as other stuff. And it's all great resistance training, just walking with a little bit of weight. Elliot carries a 5-pound brick when she goes out with me.
Oh. So
literally it's any skill level, anything. As I said, Maddie carries a stuffed animal. But you know what? She's outside, she's walking, she's having fun.
Yep.
When is she not having fun? I mean, that's just her personality. But yeah. So yeah, if anybody's curious about doing a light, hit me up, and I might have some gear that you can probably borrow for the event. As I said, there's train rucks that are going to be coming up here pretty soon. Weekly rucks, yeah, we're going to get that starting here pretty soon. So it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, great. Well, thank you so much, Virginia. This has been such a fun talk and learning more about GoRuck and everything you went through, especially on the triple there. Holy cow. Amazing.
Yeah. So the HTL, I will say this, the HTL taught me a lot about myself. It taught me a lot about what I was willing to do for a goal. Mentally and physically challenging in every level you can imagine. And yeah, it's the reason I'm doing it again, I guess.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Oh, you're doing it.
All right. Yeah. Weekend of the Seattle Beast, but it'll be good.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about it. Holy cow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And I hate I'm going to miss everybody at the Seattle Beast, but...
Oh, yeah, that's always tough, but sometimes you gotta pick and choose, and then next time switch it around, and heck, yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
Always.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for having me on. It's been really fun kind of getting to talk about some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Great.
And we'll have to do it again sometime. We'll have to do it again sometime to get some more info on that GoRuck. So I definitely want to find out more about GoRuck and then talk about them again sometime. So that was good.
Awesome.
Yeah, and they're doing a lot of great things for the community right now, and they're doing a lot of things for military as well. So it's been really fun to be a part of it.
Definitely. Great. Well, thank you so much, Virginia. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the BeastNet podcast. If you haven't done it yet, find us on Facebook. Like and share the podcast. Give us a review on iTunes or Spotify. All these things will help to expand the show in the future. This show is brought to you by James Safety Services in partnership with Beast OCR. Don't forget to subscribe and let us know what you think and what you like to hear. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or at beastocr.com.